Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Cinema 9 podcast. It's our first show of 2021, and we could not have a better guest in store for you today. It's one of our special episodes where we bring aboard someone that we know or we don't even know necessarily, but they're fans of the pod. They love movies, and we respect their movie opinions generally. So that person this week is Brian Madison. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, guys?
Mad Dog.
Hey, buddy.
It's
Good to see everybody.
Good to have
It
you.
is. It's a pleasure to have you aboard, man. We've been, you are like one of the experts in film. I mean, Chad Gibbons knows film, and we gave him a lot of credit when he came on the show. Man. But you are also
experts,
very dignified.
I don't know, but I'll take compliments where I can get them. But expert, sure, yeah, let's go with that. Expert. For sure.
Look how humble he is. Anyways, the whole gang's here. Yeah, we got Travis and Eric. Travis, it's Happy New Year. How you feeling now?
I'm doing really well. And speaking of Chad Gibbons, who our recent guest host and friend, I was going through some stuff and I found a copy of the screenplay that he wrote 15, 20 years ago called At the End of the Hall.
Oh, holy
That's
shit.
a good trick.
So it's been so long since I've read it, I have no recollection of it, but I'll reread
At
it.
the End of a Hall. Is it what, drama, horror?
I have no recollection. I've read it 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm not sure.
It's
But
a thriller.
I'm going to read it again, and I'm
We
going
used
to
to
report
laugh
back.
about we used to laugh about how the title sounded a lot like actor Anthony Michael Hall.
Wow.
Oh, man.
That's interesting. I wonder what. Maybe we get Chad to come back on the show and talk about it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Are you going to
somebody
read
get
it,
him on the
Travis?
phone.
Did you read it or just pull it out?
Do you listen to the things I say?
No.
Clearly no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, guess who's here,
I
guys?
listen,
Dave
Travis.
Petrucci.
I
I've never
listen.
seen him on the show. Hello, Dave Petrucci.
Hey,
Happy
Dave.
New Year. Okay, Cinema9Pod at protonmail.com. That's where you can email us. Tell us what you've been watching. Maybe you had 2 weeks off with the Christmas and New Year's break and you got to watch a shitload of movies, and we would love to hear about those and any choices for future listeners' choices, which we're going to modify in 2021, but we'll tell you about that another time. Today, we are focusing on Brian's selection. It is called Devil in a Blue Dress, 1995. Real quick, Brian, can you tell us why you chose this film?
So when you guys floated the idea of me being a guest on this awesome podcast, of which I'm a huge fan,
Thanks, buddy.
That makes Travis
so-
really happy, by the way. He wants
it's good. It's good.
He wants the guests to be fans. So
It's a really, really good. It is
want
on
them-
my constant rotation.
I want them to at least know the format. I mean,
So I wanted to. I definitely wanted to do a thriller type, possibly film noir, possibly detective story. So it's one of my favorite genres, subgenres, if you will. And I think I was trying to think of all the great detective film noir movies, and I decided to go with one that was, not only underrated but criminally underseen. Every time I bring this movie up to friends, acquaintances, whatever, they're like, never seen that. What the hell is that? What is that movie? Oh, it's only one of the most underrated film noir detective stories of all time. Back in 1995, it's insane how unseen this movie was. So I decided let's go for it. Let's do it on the podcast.
wow.
I find
And I also-
your belief system fascinating.
I really do. I think that is really cool, man. I am totally down with your opinions, and we're going to talk more about Devil in a Blue Dress when we get into the Does It Hold Up section, but I just wanted to get a little teaser for why you chose the film. Overall, though, we're going to do our quarantine viewing picks. Brian, I hope you brought some movies to recommend to people, because you know how that goes, right?
A couple.
Okay, good. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to give Travis the floor. But before I do that, I want to say, guys, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We're really trying to step up our efforts in 2021. We want to expand our base and get to know more people, learn about more films. There's so many goddamn movies. There's no way we'll get through all of them. If we did this show for 52 weeks every year till the day we die, we would still never get to all the films, but we would still like to expose ourselves to further realms of film, I suppose. So having said that, Travis, are you back at work now, or?
yeah, I'm teaching in person. But real quick, how are things in Griffith, Indiana, Eric Ranstrom? We didn't say hello to you.
I was feeling a little bit left out.
He said something, so he
Oh.
introduced himself. That's I was like, okay, here he
It
is.
doesn't work that way. I want the full honor of a proper introduction.
I'm sorry.
Right?
I apologize.
It's understandable.
Yeah, it's
Understandable.
no way to start 2021. Eric, Griffith, Indiana. How the hell is it going over there?
Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be here with my dear friend, Brian Madison. Who could forget? This friendship goes back to 1996, March 10th. It was around 2:08 p.m.
March
And I
10th.
That's
laid
bullshit.
eyes on my good friend Brian. I'll never forget it. My journal will tell you a lot more, but
Oh man. Okay.
I'm here to say that I'm so happy. And Ange, if you're listening, I love you. My heart is with you.
Very nice. That is sweet. Sweet and tender. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Well, good. Is that better? Are we satisfied with that?
Yeah, I'm good. Also, I wanted to comment on Travis's gigantic mug of beer. Beautifully well done, my friend.
Yeah, is that a 24 ouncer? Wow, that's
I got this
Oh,
beer
look at that.
glass for $1 from a consignment shop.
There will be many bathroom breaks this show.
you can get a $1 24-ounce mug, but you can't get health care. This is America. I love it, man. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
no, baby, I got health care.
Well, you do, but not everybody does. Anyways,
It's a big deal for me, so let me be excited. Anyway,
so you okay? So you're back at work now. So the vacation is over, and
Oh,
now
yeah.
you
teaching
don't
in
get to watch
person
movies.
every day is like, am I playing? Is it Russian roulette? I don't know. I got a 99% chance of living, so I got to get paid.
There you go.
Mike, I'm confused. I hate to go back, but there's a problem with the healthcare system in America?
Yeah.
Oh.
I
Was
hate
there
to- yeah.
Speaking of America, was there anything in the news recently of interest?
Yeah.
That might have been some disgusting, terrible thing that happened maybe yesterday. I have no idea.
Look, all I know is
It's not your fault.
don't worry. It's nobody's fault. Let's just move forward. There's a lot of good people.
Not you too, Mike. All right, so we're doing quarantine viewing picks. I didn't watch as many movies this week because I moved to Hazel Park, Michigan. I am now in
what?
Detroit. This
No shit.
giant glass of beer is filled with Detroit's own Altus Lager. And
You're
I'm
in Hazel Park?
I'm in Hazel Park.
When was this?
Oh,
Was this
shit.
planned? I even saw you in person recently. I didn't hear you
Yeah,
mention that.
my big hope was like to have myself like moved in properly where you could like obviously tell I was like in a new space, but just didn't get the time to do that. So I was deliberately keeping it from you to surprise you guys on the show, but it didn't really pan out the way that I had planned. I mean, I'm here, but
Wow.
here, I can show you. Look, I'm in a different room.
Hey!
All right,
Are you
So
off
I
9
was-
Mile? Where you at?
I am. You can see 8 Mile from my house.
Oh,
from
you're
my
closer
front
to
porch.
8 Mile. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, it's
Yeah.
cheaper down there. Good call.
Are you going to hang out with Mekhi Pfeiffer and Eminem?
Oh,
How it
boy.
works?
The guy's
That's how
on
it
his
works.
way over.
8 Mile joke. Okay.
He's on his way over right now. So I've watched less movies, but that was partially why I thought I'd ask both of you guys, Eric and Mike, during the week. I asked you, tell me a movie to watch, because I figured I better make them count if I'm going to watch less movies. So I reached out to both of you guys, and Eric, you first suggested both of them were movies that you guys have suggested on the show, but now I can talk about them. Eric suggested 2014's The Humbling, starring
I did.
Al Pacino,
Wow.
directed by Barry Levinson.
And the beautiful Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, and her too.
Mhm. Yeah.
This movie, I am like,
Great director.
it's amazing to me that this just flew so hard under the radar, because I mean, I was in grad school at the time, and I kind of like have kind of not been able to keep up
Brag.
with movies as much as I would like, but like this movie is something else. If you like Al Pacino at all, if you think that he's a decent actor, if you think he's okay, you need to watch this movie. From the moment it starts, it's some of the best acting I think that I've seen him do in the entirety of his career. Not to oversell it, but I mean, it's fucking
God damn.
really good acting that he's doing here. And Barry Levinson is amazing in this. So subtle, but he's doing camera moves, and I swear I've never seen in a movie before. I'm watching this, I'm just like, he's just floating around in space, and it's really good. So I strongly recommend this movie, Eric. Thank you for recommending it to me. Mike,
Wow, by the way, you just made me realize that I don't have an El Pacino drop, so that's a big part of the show that's missing. Because how can we not have a hoo-ah or something?
That's real
like that?
terrible, man.
Really? That's what's on your mind the whole time?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So.
so yeah, it's all about the drops now. We're the drop show. We're just drops. That's
Well, it's also
whatever.
audio. Al
I thought-
Pacino has some incredible audio he's done in his life, and I want to give him
This
credit
is true.
for that. So.
So, Eric, Mike's recommendation to me was 2012's Why Stop Now, starring Jesse Eisenberg and
Wow.
Oh, can I
Melissa
make a
Lee?
caveat on that, by the way, though? Like,
Tracy Morgan. Yeah.
I only said it because Eric had seen it, so I just wanted to get all three of us. I wouldn't necessarily. I'd not go ahead. I just wanted to get all three of us on the same page. Is why
Well,
I offered it.
Well, I've watched it and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good, like, it wasn't exactly 24 hours in someone's life. It was like you got a little bit of the night before, but it's a good, like, a day in the life of kind of movie. And I enjoyed it. I also had a lot of connectivity issues while I was watching it because I didn't quite have the internet yet and was kind of like trying to
The
internet. So so that kind of interfered with that viewing. But let's see, what else did I watch? I didn't watch that much else. I watched Head of State. That was actually the first movie I watched in my new
Chris
place.
Rock?
With Chris Rock, I figured, why not throw in some Chris Rock political commentary?
Might as well throw a boomerang or something, too.
It held up better than I thought it would. It was good seeing Bernie Mac again. I laughed more than it's a goofy fucking movie. It's a really uneven movie, Like sometimes it's really serious and sometimes it's really goofy, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of sweet. Like, oh, look how sweet they all were with their like political ideology in 2004 or 3 rather.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through Malcolm X because I've been on a bit of a Spike Lee and a bit of a Denzel Washington kick, and I'd never seen Malcolm X, so I'm halfway through that right now. I know it's a shame on me, right?
Wow.
That's one of the problems of this show is that every now and then I have to come on and it's like a mea culpa. I'm so sorry. I've never seen Malcolm X.
Admit your guilt.
I know. It's been on my list for a long time. And so far, it's really good. I'm a little more than halfway through, and of course, I'm liking it. But my final one I'd like to talk about is my main recommendation for the week, which I also posted about on Instagram, which was the 1996 documentary, the best documentary Oscar winner, When We Were Kings, about the
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
That
One
movie,
of my man.
it was so good. It was so good, in fact, that the next day I teach an intro to public speaking course, and the next day I'm like, hey guys, it's Muhammad Ali Day. And we just watched Muhammad Ali talk shit for the whole hour. And the next day I'm like, that's when I was like, let's watch some Malcolm X too. So we started watching some Malcolm X speeches.
Oh shit!
It's been
Any Al Pacino fans here?
So those are the movies I watched.
Wow. I've never
That's
seen that
badass,
one,
man.
so I'll come clean on that. Never saw When We Were Kings, but I've definitely seen
Check it
Malcolm
out.
X. So.
Check it out.
And
It's
also,
good.
Travis,
Good.
okay, well, I'll wait till I get to me. Let's go to Eric. Eric Brandstrom, what have you been watching?
Cobra Kai season 3 is fucking unbelievable. I don't care what anybody says. Period. But I won't stew on it because I know how people think about it.
I haven't seen any of that at all.
I haven't seen any of it either.
I have no input.
It's legitimately fast food trash, but just so comforting and entertaining.
That's okay.
School Ties, Mike. I watched this one for you, buddy.
You did this.
You did this.
We got to get You Did This. God,
You'll
that's
be a prick.
Get some School Ties
Yeah.
drop. We're keeping
there's
it
some
dropped.
anti-Semitism in that movie. It's
Just a
not
bit.
is there?
Just a bit. Yeah.
Is there?
Obvious Jew, Brendan Fraser, right?
Obvious Drew. Yep, Adrian Brody is a few years. Listen, Dick Wolf writes the screenplay? I had no fucking idea.
Mhm.
Dick Wolf, like television
Dick Wolf, yeah.
impresario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Law and
Yeah,
Order.
I did not
Dick
know
Wolf.
that.
He just threw it in there. He's like, I could knock this out real quick.
Yeah.
I had some fun with it, but it's basically like Prep School, the series, and this is like the only good episode.
Yeah. I think it's a good movie, but yeah, it's fun.
I
It's got a
liked
lot
it.
of up and comers. A lot of up and comers in there.
Best nude fight scene since Eastern Promises.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
bold. That's saying something. Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
Shower nude fight scene. You cannot kill David Arquette. You saw the Instagram post. Can't deny it. It's a fucking good documentary.
You cannot kill David Arquette.
I don't
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. All right, the last track. I did see another documentary that fucking disappointed me. I've been waiting for this to come out for like 2 years, and it finally did, and it's simply not very good. The Amazing Jonathan documentary is on Hulu.
Ooh.
I've been waiting for this because you said like, oh, is it true? Is it not true? Like, and I was hoping to get this whole backstory on one of the great magicians of the late 20th century. And it's just like one of those that's more about like the documentarian story, like, and it doesn't really tell you that much about the subject. And when it does delve into the whole like mystery, it's very just like tepid and not done very well. But then, Travis, bless you, bless your heart, bless your tender, gigantic 24-ounce mug of beer. Octopus Teacher, so beautiful. So, one of the most gorgeous documentaries about nature I've ever seen in my life. It taught me more about life than a lot of other documentaries, and it was about an animal.
I know.
And I sat there and thought to myself,
yeah. I mean,
I gotta say, I'll be remiss if I don't say this. It reminded me of someone that's very close in my life, to me in my life, who's had a difficult life, who's been challenged, who's been beaten down, who's basically, had limbs ripped off them. I'm speaking figuratively, grew them back and had the courage to press on, only, just to, in the long run, blah, blah, blah. But it was about an animal. It was one of the most beautiful stories about love and friendship and humanity that I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's about a fucking octopus.
I would also like to point out real quick that the three of us, Eric, Mike, and I, have like a running gag in our in our group chat on our phones that we, whenever we're emotionally moved by a film, we take a picture of ourselves crying, a selfie of ourselves in tears, and send it to one another. And that was my guess when Eric sent that picture of you, when you sent that of you weeping. I'm like, he watched my Octopus teacher. I know that's what he watched.
There it is. Well, hey, I like how you were like making this very poetic, kind of beautiful statement about the movie, and then you go blah blah blah. So it's nice that you could.
It's going to get too personal, but I mean, it is such a beautiful story, gorgeously shot on Netflix.
Okay.
blah blah blah. You foreshadowing Hurly Burly at some point on this?
Yada yada yada.
Hey!
I might be foreshadowing
Happy
the blue dress. You don't know.
What's gonna happen? This is football.
That's the game. That's the fucking
is
game.
fucking football.
Okay, cool. I'll go next so Brian can have the floor and close it out. I watched, I took your advice because I've been watching those David Mamet movies, Eric, and you said, check out Edmund. And I'm pissed that you did that because this movie is just unbearable, man. Bill Macy does an amazing job
Oh man.
of being this guy who's unbearable. He goes everywhere and complains about everything. It's just awful. I can't bear watching the film. I had to turn it off.
Mike, I know how people's emotions can sometimes make you extremely uncomfortable. So I don't blame you for not
No, it wasn't
enjoying the
that.
film, but it was a fucking good movie. Come
No,
on,
but he's
now.
complaining at the strip club. He's complaining at the beat-off booth. He's like, it's just so weird.
Who
that-
complains in the beat-off booth?
I
Those are
know.
legitimate grievances.
Bill
He's-
Macy. That's who.
This guy's just unbearable.
Edmund.
And then the racism in Edmund is just off the charts. It's like, whoa, this movie's not aging well. It's
What
a lot
year?
of. It's 2005. It's got. I mean, it's trying to like portray characters who are racist who do exist. So I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but I don't know. It wasn't great.
Not for you.
Sorry.
But I loved Heist. Heist was amazing.
Heist is so good.
It's so
You're
good.
talking about Mammoth Heist?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah,
last
Mamet-
great,
Gene Hackman?
Hackman movie. I think,
Yeah.
like the last great one that he did.
Yeah, it was. It's outstanding. That's good Mamet right there. So I loved Heist. I want to strongly recommend that. Let's see. I watched Eurovision. Apparently, this is a divisive movie.
Oh, Jesus
Just a bit.
Christ.
Brian, did you like Eurovision?
I didn't even bother watching it.
I think you're
Honestly,
fine.
I
You're
haven't
fine.
gotten around to it.
Don't
I'm
worry.
confused, Mike. Is the division that it's bad or just really, really bad?
The division is that some of us, like myself, found it both emotionally fulfilling and hilarious.
Oh.
And there you go. I think that summed it up. best.
And right, and out of the four of us, like one of us actually watched it and didn't like it. One of us actually watched it and did like it. The other two are just going to talk shit without ever having seen it.
I thought I fucking hated it.
Oh, okay. I'm just so used to you usually talking shit when you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if they haven't seen it, I guess. But
Fair enough. Yeah.
it's a quirky movie. I'll give you that. It's fucking weird.
Quite quirky, yes. But I made it through the whole thing. I did watch it all. I watched War Dogs, Todd Phillips' effort to be like legit with Jonah Hill and
Okay.
Miles Teller.
All right.
Miles Teller. Yeah.
Wait, what's that mean?
Not a Miles Teller fan.
It was just
Oh,
one
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to walk on your corns.
No. I want to know what that means. You're not a fan of Miles Teller.
So every time I see
Really?
Miles Teller in a film, I'm like, somebody else could have probably done this better. Whiplash,
Not
I didn't know
Whiplash.
any better, right? Whiplash is just such a great film
Wow.
where it's like Miles Teller, like he's serviceable in it, but I'm like, somebody else could have done this. Every time I see him, I'm like, somebody else probably could have done this a little bit better. Yeah. So,
I don't think he's like an incredibly great actor, but I think he's perfect for Whiplash. I think he's so arrogant and vulnerable at the same time.
he works, but it's like,
I'm disappointed in you, Brian.
I love Whiplash. We went to go see Whiplash. Me, you, and Ange. It was a great experience.
Miles Teller, I mean, the past few years have been bumpy, but he had the energy and spunk of a young John Cusack. It didn't really pan out that well, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Sorry.
By the
Go
way,
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Chad is really excited that Brian's here, so want to give a shout out to Chad. We love you, Chad.
What's up, Chad?
And Jimmy Tank is checking in. Solid banter, guys. The octopus talk makes me uncomfortable, but the rest
Oh
is
yeah,
really
Travis is terrified.
Jimmy
Jimmy's
famous-
terrified
yeah.
of mollusks.
Famously hates octopuses.
Not a Kepler pod fan, huh? Okay. Yeah.
okay. That's
Chad,
good.
thank you. He's a fan of our guest. All right.
Octopus they're intense creatures. That's why I got to watch the
Brilliant.
doc and get.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I watched The Wizard of Lies, which was there was two movies that came out
Oh.
on Bernie Madoff a couple years ago. One was Robert De Niro. The other one was the ABC version with Dreyfus.
I
And
like that one.
I like this one better than the Dreyfus one. So this is the De Niro one, and it's
Was it Levinson?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Our old buddy Barry Levinson.
Yeah, Wizard of Lies. Yeah.
It's so dry and slow, right?
Very.
Not in a terrible way.
Yeah.
It's
No.
just very plodding.
It does a good job of like giving the sons some time to like their story. It's just really, I feel bad for them. I really did. I mean, one of the sons killed themselves. That's not a spoiler. He's really dead. So it's tough. I watched Quick Change. I've never seen Quick Change.
What?
I've never seen that either.
I finally watched
I've
it.
been wanting to maybe bring it on the show. Actually, it's
Bring it
so
on.
good.
I
fucking
Hang on.
love
All right.
Quick Change.
What'd you
Love
think?
It's fascinating. The
So good.
dialogue is so
It's so
like ahead
good.
of its time. It's 1990.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking good.
It's so fucking good. It
It's-
really is.
It's so witty. It's the writing is outstanding. Like I really believe it's like this movie would fit in more in like the current climate that we live in, like the comedy climate, than it would in 1990. I really do think it was ahead of its time. That's my
So-
instant analysis.
So
That's
who was
a movie-
running the show? Was it I'm sorry, Travis. Like wasn't it like some guy who never really did too much before or after? Who
yeah,
was
I don't remember the
it?
director.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
it wasn't
that
a name that stood out, or I was like, oh, hey, it's that guy. So
It's a Jay Cronley book. Is the it's a source material. Same writer of Funny Farm and Let It Ride.
ooh,
Also
Oh,
good movies.
Speaking of Let
Yes.
It Ride, Travis.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Let It Ride. And well, I mean, obviously, since I love Let It Ride so much, that's why I watched Quick Change. I take that back.
oh,
What am I-
co-directed by Bill Murray, by the way.
Oh, that's cool. But I watched Quick Change. as a kid.
That means he
One of my-
directed it.
Yeah, right.
That
Always.
means he directed it.
Yeah.
Always.
Dude, yeah, Quick Change. I mean, it introduced me to Stanley Tucci, to Tony Shalhoub.
Yep.
It's got some really good young, early performances from some great actors in there. It's so fucking funny. You got Philip Bosco freaking out behind the white line. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. By the way, Howard Franklin and him co-directed, and Howard Franklin did The Name of the Rose.
that's a
He
good
did.
movie.
He also stuck with him on The Man Who Knew Too Little, so they worked together a couple more times, and it didn't necessarily work out. But
I don't remember Bill Murray
It's real.
in the Rose.
no, he was not. You're right. But
It's a real
very
Vin Diesel, Rob Cohen situation, you know?
All right, we win it. Did you watch anything else, Mike?
Quick Change. Well, yeah. So Quick Change is really good. Check it out. I watched The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie's latest with Matthew McConaughey on board.
Was it good?
I liked it. It was good. I like Guy Ritchie's. I like his ensemble crime movies. I always do. I'm pretty much a sucker for him. I love Snatch. I love all the early ones, Lock, Stock, all that crap.
Lock,
So
Stock.
this is more of that, and it's good. So I recommend that. I also watched the David Arquette documentary. I also recommend it. Like, it was good. I couldn't believe it. I'm still stunned. When Eric sent me that photo that was in our text thread, Travis, I hadn't seen the movie yet. I just recommended it because he asked me for a doc, but I hadn't seen it yet. And I was like, is that a real picture? And then it ends up being kind of heartfelt. I was surprised.
Wait, no, the picture was him crying to Octopus Teacher, wasn't
No,
it?
the other picture of a tanned Arquette with the dick coat
With
on.
Dick covered in a little satin hanky. That would
Yeah,
be it.
yeah. And he's being spray tanned. It's
Well, I love any doc that has that can show you just a demographic that's so infinitesimal. You'll never see it any other way except in a documentary format.
all right. I got two more and I'm done. Then I watched Charm City Kings, which is phenomenal. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still
just-
haven't watched that, but I've heard great things. Yeah.
I would recommend it. It just reminded me of driving around Baltimore. It was so weird, man. I spent so many nights on those streets Ubering all night long. I felt like I was home, which is really bizarre because it's shot exclusively in Baltimore. So I give it credit for doing that. And I watched Motherless Brooklyn. Had not seen that.
Oh, what do you think?
Oh boy.
Honestly,
Here we go.
but-
I think I liked it. I don't have. I mean, it's hard to kind of redo those types of movies. It's getting harder and harder to do those. It's in a sense kind of what we're doing here today with the film noir. It is kind of be that, and
Yes,
Totally noir.
yes. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it did a pretty good job of it, even though Edward Norton is trying to win an Academy Award with his ridiculous, but it's part of the character.
Well-
The character has Tourette's, and he's going back to his primal fear days, and
And the score.
yes.
The score is a little much. But
Okay, thank you, Nick.
I thought it was beautifully shot. I mean,
Was that S-Rog? Was that your S-Rog?
That was my Edward Norton in this score. Thank you, Nick.
Oh,
It's my Oscar.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
the score of the movie.
Yeah, it was beautifully shot, Travis, and it was a good period piece. It didn't feel like it was shot in New York, and then hey, there's a 2015 car around the corner or something. It's all very well done, and I approve of it. I would recommend it. Good job. And that's it, Brian. The floor is yours now. Let's get some recommendations. This is big, dude. People have been waiting for your recs for a long time.
Unfortunately, I don't have that because I'm working all the time. I'm not really getting that much time to watch
Jesus
films.
Christ,
However,
dude. Come on. Cry me a river.
However, I do want to start off. I took exception to something that Eric said in the sneakers episode, and you guys, all of you, glossed over it. All right.
Hang on. Was it when he said that David Paymer played a young Ben Kingsley?
No,
that was not correct.
no, not that. I can forgive that. What I cannot forgive, because I think you all know how I feel about sneakers anyway, but what I can't forget is Eric said this, and nobody was like, what? He said, and I quote, "Sneakers is the greatest team-based oriented film ever made." Where it is the greatest film that depicts a team to do something in a film.
By that. I stand by
That
it.
is absolutely wow. I was just blown away by that.
Well, I don't really have an issue with that statement. I don't know that I 100% agree with it, but I don't have an issue with it. I mean,
Oh
I would put it on
my
my
God.
put it on my short list.
The greatest team, really? Honestly? Really?
I'll put it on my short list.
Wow.
What's screaming in your mind that we're overlooking here? I mean, obviously there's a ton. Don't get me wrong, but like, what in your opinion?
Ghostbusters, Sorcerer, Star Wars, The Sting. Any great sports film. I mean, it was crazy. I thought it was like a very hype. Like, I know there's a lot of hyperbole on this.
The team in Sneakers is better than all the greatest team. Magnificent Seven. Sneakers is better than all of them.
Yeah, Seven Samurai, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. But yeah. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks for calling us out. We appreciate it.
Well, specifically Eric, but
show my
you guys.
disdain for my co-host as I'm the guest on this episode, real quick. You guys mind?
Is there a way to just like kick him off? I mean, we could just like click the button and make him be gone.
You're a great lawyer.
These guys just come with these terrible opinions. We don't need.
Let's go to law school. You were making a case for me before I even opened my goddamn mouth.
But okay, so all right, getting that out of the way. So I revisited a movie that I had not seen in a long time, and it was also one I was actually considering for this podcast too as well. But 1981's Thief with James Caan.
Oh,
It's on HBO Max. You can stream it, and that's Michael Mann's first film, and it's just as amazing as the first time I saw it. You want to talk about in that era, like in the late 70s, early 80s, like Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, Rage Bull and all that type of stuff. Thief it's even grittier than Taxi Driver, in my opinion. And they, like, the amount of research that went into it, like, this is Michael Mann, it is also one of his most maniacal. Like, he had James Caan go into prison and talk to, actual, convicts about going about a job and the thought process behind that. And it's one of the most authentic films too as well. There's literally, I would say, a 15-minute scene of him just drilling into a safe. And it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life, man. I'm telling you, check out Thief. If you have not seen it, it's Michael Mann's first film. It's on HBO Max. You can stream it right now. So highly recommend it. Also, Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack for it.
Ooh,
and yeah.
They're no Dream Academy, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I think you guys definitely do it if you haven't checked it out.
What about Dream Theater?
Dreamweaving? Dreamweaver? Yeah, so Steve was amazing, and also there's this movie on Netflix from the great country of South Korea. It's called The Witch Part 1, Subversion. I don't know if nobody's checked this out yet. Do it. It's fucking amazing. Like,
all right.
It's basically like if you can get past some of like the Asian tropes of how they tell how they do storytelling over there, like it's almost like the like K-pop version of like, you know, Jason Bourne or something like that. Like I don't know if that's giving too much away, but it is crazy. That's the only way I can really explain it. Like it's amazing. I think you guys would dig it. It's an action film, but it does it in a way where you don't expect anything that happens in it, and when the shit hits the fan, and it does, you're in, like 100% in. Like it's really, really good. And they also set up for sequels. Hopefully sequels come. And then I also revisited a movie that I also think was criminally underseen, which was You Were Never Really Here with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh my God, Lynn Ramsey.
Yeah, it was. It's still great. That's all I can say. So,
Wow. That's it?
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Those are outstanding. Excellent choices. I mean, Chad Gibbons gave us some incredible recommendations, and you had a lot to live up to. So now we'll find out if those are good recommendations or not over the coming weeks.
Is this going to be a thing moving forward that every guest will be compared to Chad Gibbons?
That's correct.
Also,
yes.
did Tangerine Dream do the soundtrack for the score for 3 O'Clock High? Also, is my brain? It's just screaming that at me. Do you guys know?
Oh, that'd be awesome. I love 3 o'clock high.
I guess I could look at IMDb, but that doesn't sound fun. All right. Anyways, I was hoping you guys would know. Well, thanks for those recommendations, man. I'm definitely going to watch out the Witch one. Watch that Witch one. I'm definitely into like Korean theater lately, like most American cinephiles. So I will definitely be checking that out.
Brian, how do you feel about Lynn Ramsey taking on The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon as her next feature film?
I think she's going to do a great job for sure. I mean, you know, she's got a proven track record, and plus, I mean, that story is kind of. I mean, depending on how they do it, but I mean, that story, it's one of those like almost foolproof like Stephen King stories, you know, like you can't really screw that up for the most part.
By the way, Tangerine Dream did do the soundtrack for 3 o'clock high. That's correct.
That's cool.
Makes me happy.
Gentlemen, I won't be able to sleep tonight unless I bring this up. I did watch Ishtar.
Yeah!
Ishtar. Oh, okay.
I gave it you know me in Heaven's Gate. It's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's critically lambasted. Ishtar is so fucking bad.
Yes.
It's like the first like 1 minute, you're like, they should have like pulled the plug and like fired everybody involved. It's that bad. And I love Elaine May, but like, how did this fucking movie get made? Seriously.
Because they were all stars and shit happens sometimes. But I'm glad you stuck to your word of your resolution that you wanted to watch movies and get your own opinion. So this is sticking to that formula. Good job, Eric. I'll give you credit for that.
Warren Beatty did make me laugh a few times.
Oh, there you go. Good.
I gotta admit.
The show's favorite actor.
That's right, Warren Beatty. I talked about him the other night too, but he's getting a lot of run. By the way, I actually have a question on another pod where I do a this or that thing. That was, hey, would you rather watch Wonder Woman 84 or Ishtar? That's how bad I thought 84 was.
Yeah, Ishtar.
Brian, did you see Wonder Woman 84?
Yes. So Alina and I watched it, and we were both after the first hour, we were doing that thing where it's like the video go down.
No, you're here, buddy.
We were doing that thing after like the hour of when you're watching a movie that you know it's not good, where you're like, you like the first one and you're really trying really, really hard to like the second one. And we were just giving courtesy laughs for like jokes after like the first hour. Oh. And then finally by like hour 2, and there's still like, I don't know, conservatively 45 minutes left in the film. We were just both like, this is terrible, isn't it? Yeah, it's real bad. Like it was appallingly terrible, where I couldn't believe it. Well, the same director, it was. I just couldn't. Like, it was.
Look, I'm sorry.
It was crazy.
I think everybody needs to go back and rewatch Wonder Woman 1. That shit is not that good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, Travis, I was just gonna say that. So go. Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't hold up very.
Patty Jenkins got a lot of credit for that.
First viewing in theaters, I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty fucking good. This is the best DC movie
because the bar
ever."
was so low. Yeah.
Right, but it's no Shazam.
Right.
Okay. Travis, I'm calling you later. We're going to argue about how much Wonder Woman 1 is 25 times better than Captain Marvel.
That sounds like a shit way to spend my time.
Wow. Well, see, listen, man, I don't know about that. I don't know. Captain Marvel, it's not better. It's not better than Captain Marvel.
Exactly, right? Captain Marvel's a good movie, isn't it, Brian?
Captain Marvel is a great movie. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would have to also agree with Travis. I think he mentioned something in the fact it's like your favorite MCU film. I can't remember which episode.
It's in my top 5.
It's the one that you're rewatching the most now, or something like that.
Lately it's been the one I've been going back to the most. It just has extreme rewatchability.
I would have to agree with you. It has such like tonal shifts where it's like, like when the big reveal of the no spoilers, but with the big, I'm sure people have watched it actually, but
it's
the big reveal of like the characters are like actually not those characters. That still plays. It's still hilarious.
Yep.
Wonder Woman. I liked the first Wonder Woman, but it's Captain Marvel's. I mean, the entire MCU is head and shoulders above the DCEU. So I'd have to disagree with you.
I completely agree with that. Thank you so much. I think it's pretty much impossible because Wonder Woman Part 1 was good for half, maybe 3/4 of the movie, and then it goes downhill. So,
and anyways, Brian, I like your opinions again. You're allowed to stay on the show.
Yay!
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I am glad that Brian's here because we're going to get into it now. It's time to switch gears, rotate into it. Does it hold up? It's time for Devil in a Blue Dress, 1995 film, directed by Carl Franklin, starring the one and only Denzel Washington. That's right. It's going to be a good one. We're going to find out what's the truth on this one. What are people going to say? By the way, if you watch the movie and you have different opinions than us, Cinema9Pod, ProtonMail.com, Cinema9Pod, and all of your favorite social media platforms. We would love to hear from you. We got the Facebook page, which is just like filled with lots of stuff that you can share. Travis shares movies that he's been talking about. Eric posts stuff, and our Instagram feed. We have a lot of ways that you can communicate with us. So please do. We welcome the feedback. All right. Let's take it from the top. Travis Roy, let's go back in time. 1995, Devil in a Blue Dress. I'd say you didn't see this one in the theater, because I know I didn't.
I did not see it in the theater, but I did see it when it was new. I had mentioned before that I had the a bunch of videotapes that my mom's ex-boyfriend used to record for me. Then I got older and got my own second VCR and started recording stuff. And that's when I started, like Dan Plummer had that copy of Shallow Grave that I was talking about, the whiteout. Devil in a Blue Dress is one that I had a copy of, that I'd made a copy of like this. So I had a very rigged copy and trying to fit Devil in a Blue Dress and giant whiteout print. So this is one I enjoyed when it was new. I watched it, a few times. I owned it. I enjoyed it. And then I probably haven't seen it since sometime in the 20th century until the night before last. And I'm excited to talk about it. I think it was a good choice for this show.
In the year 2000. That's right. Okay. Devil in a Blue Dress, Eric Branstrup, 1995. There's no way you saw this in the theater.
Mike, why? Why do you make that judgment on me?
You're too young. You weren't allowed to see this. It's rated R. You were 15.
Okay, you're right. You do listen to the episodes. I was not allowed to see rated R movies until 1997. Listen, I always got this confused with the Mighty Quinn. For years and years, I just thought this was like the Mighty Quinn, so I never saw it. Same cover box, Denzel in a white T-shirt, palm tree in the background. I was like, oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That is
the Mighty Quinn. Yeah, and Devil in a Blue Dress.
Yep. I'd never seen a Mighty Quinn. This was my first viewing. I got a lot to talk about.
You mean Devil in a Blue Dress?
Yeah, it's called Devil in a Blue
Dress. That was a real blue. Thank you, Dana Carvey, as that asshole from the Rockland Group. I'd never seen this before earlier today, but I applaud this choice. I got so much to say. Thank you.
Okay. You obviously do. Yes.
Yes. Brian,
what's the wrong movie?
Wow. Yeah,
I watched the wrong movie. The Mighty Quinn.
I can't believe it.
Sorry, guys. That would apply.
Brian, you chose this film. Okay, let's give it. Brian, you chose this film. So, you're a moviegoer. You love going to the theater, and it must have been tough in 2020 with the lack of movie theater options for you. But I imagine that maybe, just maybe, you actually saw this in the theater.
Brian, I've known you for 25 years. You've never, ever, ever talked about this movie before to me.
Wow.
Really? I'm pretty sure I have. I have mentioned this movie a couple of times in mixed company. But so no, I did not see this movie in the theater. The first time I saw this movie was a random rental. I think at what was that crappy video store rental place next to M59 West?
Movie Time.
Yeah. It was like a random crappy rental at Movie Time when I had nothing better to do on like a Sunday, Sunday afternoon or something like that. And I think I was like nursing a hangover or something, at like 16, 17 years old, like normal 16, 17-year-olds. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go rent a movie. Go get some pop, bring it back, watch it. I popped it in and I was like, up until that point, I had seen like, the Maltese Falcon. And I don't think I appreciated the Maltese Falcon when I was 16 years old, right? But, watching this part, like this was my in for noir, right? Like for like detective stories. This is probably my favorite one. I don't objectively, I can say it's not the best detective film of all time, but it's probably my favorite one though.
Well, you need to be very careful bringing your favorite movie on this show with Eric because he'll say mean things about it.
Hey, that's fine.
That's my
is
truth,
fine.
bro. My truth, man. It's 2021.
Okay. Well, look.
But yeah, so this was my like segue into that world, and so that's just that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring it on. See if it does in fact hold up to scrutiny.
25 years, 25 plus years later. You're right. Well, we hate to tear it apart if we have to, but if we must, we shall. I'm not saying we will, but we have a standard to uphold here, Brian, and don't take it personally.
It's a sacred oath you guys have taken on this podcast. You got to do what you have to do. So
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, I'd never seen this movie, so I definitely didn't see it in the theater. I never saw it on a VHS tape. I remember the title, but all I ever think about when I hear the goddamn title is Devil in a Blue Dress, Blue Dress, Blue Dress, Devil in a Blue Dress song.
There it is, man.
I've been walking around the house singing that song for like 3 days straight. And I'm changing the lyrics and shit. It's getting really weird, too.
You're
I don't
making
know.
your shrimp Alfredo. You're just devil in a blue dress.
Well, is this Conchito's first film or not? I don't know, but Jennifer Beals is still hot.
When we were kids, me and my brothers used to, some reason we sang it like this. Devil with the poontang, 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 devil with the, I don't know why. We were kids.
That sounds like a 90s thing. That sounds
Yeah,
like
I don't know. Hey, we were immature teenage
Remember
idiots.
the word poontang? People used to say poontang.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So.
Quick Mitch Ryder fun fact. Winona Ryder got her last name from Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
There you go.
Well, anywho, we like to take a look at the ratings and the Rotten Tomato critical reviews. We hope that Destin Thompson will chime in on this one. But first, Brian, did you look up the rating on this on IMDb, or are you blind?
No, I haven't looked at the IMDb in a bit, actually.
Awesome.
I mean, I've obviously looked at it, but I haven't. I do not know what the rating is. No.
All right. Well,
Yes.
I would guess a 7.2.
Anybody else?
I guess similarly, but maybe a little less because people haven't seen it as much. I'm gonna say 6.9.
6.7.
Okay, I abstain. The answer is 6.7 on
Oh,
the
shit.
nose.
Wow.
There it is, and that's with
Very good. Very
about
well.
17,000 ratings. So, like Travis said, a little lower of a number. Usually we get 6-digit numbers if it's a bigger or larger film, 1 million.
Mike, did all the ratings start out as the Mighty Quinn seems like it has potential, but ultimately,
On Rotten Tomatoes,
Heart Condition
88%.
is such a great film.
88% for the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. That's an outstanding number. But 70 for the audience. So
Not bad.
Interesting.
not bad. No, I mean that's still a bucket of popcorn with butter on it. It's quite delicious. And of course, when it comes to critical reviews, we dive in deep. We go way back in time to see what people had to say about this film.
Tell me what Ebert said. Tell me what Ebert said.
Sid, fuck you. Sid.
Oh,
That's right.
I'm telling you, I don't know if. Oh yes, Destin Thompson says Franklin's picture is effortlessly wise beneath its entertaining surface. Destin loves it.
Astute as usual, Destin.
Thank you, Destin. Yeah, very simple. Brian, you said Roger Ebert. Roger says, I liked the movie without quite being caught up in it. I liked the period, tone, and look more than the story, which I never really cared much about. But he still likes it. 3 out of 4 stars.
Why would Ebert? I picture Ebert would sound exactly like how you just fucking said it. That's pretty astute. That's him writing it, just typing away like.
Sometimes his reviews sound like like your uncle's Facebook posts, and you're like, "Why are you randomly telling me this?"
correct, right, Raj? No. Anyway, how's the BLT?
You don't have to spell laugh out loud, Uncle Roger. It's okay.
Yeah. Peter
Lol,
Travers says
lol.
the movie simmers with pungent suspense, humor,
Pungent.
and eroticism. So there you go. Generally, like we said, the critics love this movie. I'm trying to find a negative. Here we go. Bill Chambers from Film Freak Central. Oh, he
Film
gives it
Freak
2 out of
Central.
5 stars with no words. Well, that sucks. Okay, he doesn't say anything. He just.
so.
Well, you can't rip a movie and not have any words to back it up, can you?
Hey, listen, his genius, it shouldn't be on film. What was it? Filmfreakcentral.com?
Yeah.
Whatever the
Anyways,
hell that
all
is.
the splats on these reviews, there's no words to. I see 3, and none of them have a review. They just
They're
have.
from racists.
Yeah,
They're
clearly.
scared. They're
Clearly.
scared racist.
Anywho, all right. So
Pretty
let's all right. So this movie is well received by critics. Let's dive into the movie now. We got the actors. We talked about Denzel Washington, Jennifer Beals, Don Cheadle. Tom Sizemore's not on drugs yet, so this is like,
Maybe.
well,
Probably.
okay, but not so
Come
bad
on,
that
Mike.
it's like
Come
destroyed
on,
his
Mike.
life yet.
Maybe a couple bumps here and there. You know?
Right, but he's still.
Yeah, he seems a
functioning.
little bumpy in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was. I thought he was great in
Oh,
this
he's
movie.
good. He's
No,
good.
no, he's great. DeWitt, yeah.
Good
The
bumps.
panic energy works. I mean, don't get me
Good
wrong.
bumps.
Okay.
Goodbumps.net.
Well, I want to ask one thing though, because we're all. This is obviously noir, so we're all cool with the narration because that's just how noir goes, right?
Well, that was one of my main questions: is how you felt about the narration. What do you think? Because usually you're so Mike.
You hate narration, yeah. This
You're
is
usually
true.
very much against it. So I'm just curious because I for one think Denzel always does particularly good narration. I think that he should do more like voiceovers and stuff for like documentaries and stuff. I think he's really good at it. And 2, I thought that this one was good. Particularly, I really enjoyed the closing of it, the last lines of the voiceover where he talks about just being on the porch with his friend and all that.
Yes.
I thought that was fucking. Mwah.
Ooh.
Yeah, can we observe the fact that one of the, not to step on anybody, I don't know if somebody was just about to talk, but one of the things I love about this film is this guy is not a detective, right? He's not a detective. He is a black man in post-World War II Los Angeles, just trying to keep his house, right?
Well,
That's
I
the
definitely
entire
want to
setup.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that too. But Mike, since before we get too far afield from voiceovers, what did you think?
I thought they didn't rely on it too much, so I was cool with it. It wasn't like a constant. It was like it was gone for a while, and then it came in. Oh, you can say next. Hang on, you'll get your point. But I'm saying that it came in when I needed it to kind of clarify. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a lot when the movie starts. It's like, oh boy, there's going to be a lot of narration, but it really doesn't rely on it in the meat of the film. It's gone for a while. At least it feels that way. And then when I need to get some information from him, I'm actually cool with it. I had no problem with it. It fit in for me. I'm cool with it. Eric?
Do I have the floor?
Yes.
You have the floor.
The narration for me was the worst part. It needed another pass in the script phase for me. That I love some good narration when it comes to a film noir, which this clearly is. But it just wasn't. And I don't want to be an asshole here, but it just wasn't clever enough for me. You look at some of the best narration in these types of films, Sunset Boulevard being the standout. It just needed a little bit punchier for me. It just kind of either it did two things. Either it explained what we could already kind of enumerate, or it glossed over scenes we should have seen in an actual dramatization.
I think that like Brian said, I mean, it's a necessary trope for the genre, and I also really strongly like that he's not a Sam Spade type character. He's more of a. I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to the Dude in this movie because
there's so many.
There's reason to. But also it reminded me a lot of Big Lebowski. It also reminded me a lot of Double Indemnity, where he's an insurance agent, which is not, it's a little bit more professional, but still, like my favorite film noirs always involve somebody who's not a private eye. It's somebody who's thrust into this thing exactly like Easy Rollins is, and he just kind of has to like maneuver and play the game, and he's just caught up in this world that he has no business being in whatsoever. And maybe for that reason, I mean, he's a machinist. He's not an author, so maybe for that reason, I kind of partly excused the fact that it wasn't like it wasn't Raymond Chandler dialogue.
Poetic. It's not Raymond Chandler. Yeah.
But he also is going to like make it his thing. when the movie ends, it's like this is his thing now. He kind of feels like maybe he can do it, even though he did.
Well, if you can't pull off the narration and like the tone of a film noir, just don't do it.
All right, fair enough. I agree with you guys' points. I like people who aren't actual PIs too. I find those more interesting and provocative. I agree. Brian, did you want to add anything to the narration?
So I will say it kind of ties into the narration in the beginning of the film. I think. So just to try to be completely objective about this as much as I can. The one thing I don't like about the beginning is the only thing that's jarring is those two quick little flashbacks, and you even have the glimmer dissolve, to when you get a glimpse of Mouse, and it's just
and when he goes to work, how he got fired.
Yeah, it's it's an unfinished scene. It was watching it again. I was just like, oh, okay, that actually doesn't quite it doesn't quite work a little bit. Those two in the beginning in succession like that, I was just like, yeah. But the narration in and of itself, I'm fine.
Maybe a little clumsy, but even before that, to heap some praise to the beginning. As far as I'm a big fan of period pieces, and I want them to look authentic as hell.
Right.
That's one of the reasons. As Mike was talking about, that's one of the reasons I found Motherless Brooklyn to be pretty compelling, even though sometimes it kind of fell flat. This one, from the fucking start of the movie, it is immersive. I feel like I'm in 1948. There is a really authentic feel to this movie that. I think that it carries throughout the whole movie, and I think they really do a fine job in establishing that vibe, that
first tracking shot into
exactly.
It's like a mini Touch of Evil shot almost, right? It's like a mini, one take, right? Just a little bit,
Yeah, and it sets this mood and it sets this tone, and it does a really good job of and it sets the period all at once, and it does a great job doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When he gets hired and he heads on over there, and every little detail of her store heading up into the bar, it's all authentic.
The cinematography.
Speaking of cinematography, when you guys saw Tak Fujimoto's name on screen, did you guys go a little crazy?
Oh, I creamed in my pants.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like that. The ones that didn't see it yet. I thought you guys liked it.
I definitely liked seeing it because I'd seen it before, but also kind of my expectation if I'm watching a movie from the mid-late 90s is that Tak Fujimoto was the cinematographer. That man was extremely busy for a while. I was actually really excited to see that Elmer Bernstein did the score. That was
man. That
was great.
I mean,
I definitely had a reaction. Yeah, when I saw Tak, I was like, "Oh wow, cool! Yeah, I remember." Okay.
Going back, if I may, to good old Tak. Jonathan Demme produces, so you probably got Tak on board for this. I mean. That first shot on the street before they go into the club, for me, what I'm thinking here in 2021, Happy New Year, gentlemen, is this is when films, they didn't have to rely on digital backgrounds, and there's no weird digital blurred atmosphere where they had to punch in extras or this or that. It's just all in camera, so beautiful. The set design, the extras, the atmosphere, and that. My main takeaway from this film is indeed that cinematography and that production design.
Yeah, the cop hassling the black guy for no reason. Yeah, it all fits into the period immediately, just like that.
So that gets it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're right. Let's do it.
Well, that gets it to me what sets this movie apart as a film noir. And Easy Rollins is a character. Now, I have not read, these are based on books by, and which I've not read.
Walter Mosley.
Walter Mosley. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got 19 of them.
Yeah. And I'd be kind of curious to pick up one or two because this follows all the tropes in a major way, and I really like it. But it's not just we were talking about White Man's Burden a week or so ago, right?
Yes, that was New Year's. Yeah,
there's no real function. It's just oh god,
oh my god.
But in this case, to take a traditionally white character, right?
Exactly.
I mean, let's face it, film noirs are almost uniformly white characters. And to take a black man in the 1940s, the late 1940s, and put him in there. And especially I like that he's a veteran. He's talking about how he had fought for the country, but still isn't able to enjoy the rights that he fought for. It put so many more layers on this thing. But even more than that, it gives a whole new level of vulnerability to the character throughout the entire movie. He can't even just go to meet somebody without some woman coming up and talking to him, and he almost gets in a fight. Throughout the whole movie. And then at the very end, we're we're still reminded that with all of his problems solved and still got all this money, all of a sudden, like those two cops go creeping by, and we're reminded, like, yep, still fucking vulnerable to the systemic racism that oppresses him.
He can't even walk into the goddamn building to talk to his main contact because it's a whites only section.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
That's the thing. And to Travis's point, it's one of the things that really works in the movie. When he gets interrogated by those two cops, he's scared shitless. Like,
I'm scared shitless for him.
Exactly, right? So it's like that scene in any other like detective like story. It's a white guy, and he's like it's like snap crackle pop like dialogue, right? Like, yeah, well, your mother, da, 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 right? No, he's like scared shitless. He's in an interrogation with two white cops,
right,
who are obviously not telling him everything he needs to know, and he's there to give them information, and he knows that, and he knows he has to get out of that room alive somehow.
Yeah, and he's like hands up.
Yeah.
And shit.
And when he pushes that cop away, he knows he fucked up. He gets up against the wall like as soon as like that scene is like it's really good. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And
And
the film does. Go ahead.
when the cop says to him, like, we'll take you up back and shoot him, like, that's not a threat. Like, that's a possibility for him. And this is one in like most movies, when you're watching a movie, like, the protagonist is going to be okay. And I've watched this movie before a few times, and I'm watching the movie the night before last or whatever, and I'm just like, oh God, I hope that doesn't happen to you.
I got to disagree with you there. So there's just no way that would fly either. Even though they're doing a good job of presenting a reality that is factual, I give you that. But that would never cross my mind in this movie. I was like, even the scene where Sizemore's dude rolls back into the kitchen with his
I
assholes.
understand what a protagonist is. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, it just didn't happen for me.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
I want that to be represented as well. And when they're in the kitchen and threatening him again, and he's scared again. His eyes are watering. Denzel does a really good job of emoting the fear within himself in all of his films. He can play a hard-ass, badass motherfucker, but he can also play a guy who wants to be strong but is terrified inside almost as well as anybody. And he does that in this movie, several different scenes, and it comes through shiningly.
When you talk about this, we have to backtrack a little bit, in my opinion. When you talk about this character of Ezekiel, they introduce him in such a fucking great way, because he's a black man sitting in a bar where when a white man walks in there, it's different. I mean, it's unusual.
Right.
And then
Everybody stops.
They go to his neighborhood, which is a neighborhood that you're only going to see in LA in the 1940s. It's going to change in the 50s, 60s, and especially thereafter. But they do such a good job of creating this character that has this tension throughout the rest of the film. We are lucky and fortunate enough to know about it now here in the 21st century. I doubt even people in the 90s saw this through line of tension that he had to deal with during the when they watched it in the 90s. But
You mean white people?
It wasn't that far back.
Yeah, you mean white people may not have noticed, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure Carl Franklin.
Can I continue? Anyway.
Not when you say things, they'll be challenged on this show. Always.
Okay, but it's a black man in 1948 who owns his own house in a neighborhood that is a beautiful neighborhood that always has to keep his fucking head turned around his shoulder because it's being challenged.
Because someone's trying to chop his trees down.
By his employer, by the guy who's trying to chop his cheese down, and even possible employers. They do a fucking great job of introducing the character. But go ahead. You guys want to crack jokes?
Yes.
Crack jokes.
Speaking of the multiple characters and the guy that wants to chop his tree down, that's another thing I really appreciate about this movie is that there's a huge host of characters, and every single one of them serves some function. There's like one character in the whole movie where I'm like, what function does this guy serve? And then at the very end of the movie, he just is his friend. And I'm like, oh, brilliant. Because I noticed that as I'm watching it, I'm like, because even like the guy that wants to chop down trees ends up saving his life at one point, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this. And again, like that's a classic trope too. I mean, this movie just follows, like, it's so cookie cutter, but at the same time, it's like this unique spin on everything. And it's just utterly absorbing from start to finish.
Yeah, he blew him off when he's trying to get his attention in that moment where he's going to get killed. But he finally stops at the very last second to look, and then he doesn't die. And by the way, I thought the guy's name was Miles. It's Mouse. I thought it was.
Mouse?
I never heard Mouse the whole movie, but it's not. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle. Yeah,
Jesus,
Don Cheadle's character comes into this, and Don Cheadle's character is one of the most interesting to me because he's so
insane.
He doesn't fill any tropes to me. This guy's just like, I don't know what this guy's gonna do.
So I was
Wild
so I
card.
was watching this. Alina was watching this with me. She had never seen it before either. And that scene when Mouse is introduced, and and
Wave
he's
the
like,
gun around?
he puts his big 6-shooter away, and you're like, okay, this guy is about to like talk this guy or try to negotiate with him. And then he pulls out a small caliber like sidearm and shoots him in the shoulder. Alina like jumped like, what the hell? Like it's such a jarring scene, and it's played so perfectly.
He doesn't even know the woman. He has no idea what the situation
He has
is.
no idea what's going on. He just knows his friend was messed with, and his friend needs to find out information. Like that's all Mouse knows.
And
So
he's such a sadist. He actually kind of reminds me of Tom Ripley a little bit. Like he just cannot help but kill.
exactly. Yeah.
Like he just can't help. Like, why'd you leave him with me then? Did you want me to kill him? Right?
And what happened to Jeff?
Although I will say though that in that instance, when he does kill him, he does have a reason, and that's the one thing, you don't mess with his friends. It comes down to Mouse. You don't mess with his friends. He knows that guy killed the other guy's Coretta. Yeah, so that's why he gets a little pissed off and shoots out the window. Right?
And Easy is more discerning.
Can we go back a little bit and talk about like what is the plot of this movie? Because it's convoluted, like any good film noir should be. But like you have a MacGuffin with Jennifer Beals, who anybody who watches the show knows I love fucking Flashdance, but this is horrifically miscast.
Yeah, she's
For many
terrible in
reasons.
this. That's my opinion.
But I mean, what is the
Who,
story?
Beals?
Yeah. I love Beals and Roger Dodger and shit. Like I like Beals, but in this movie, I did not like Beals particularly. I thought it was not a great.
Well, everybody
performance.
knew. I mean, it was 1995. At this point, everyone was pretty familiar with the fact that she was a biracial, beyond gorgeous actress. But a big part of the plot depends on the fact that you have apprehensions about this femme fatale woman. But the audience had to have known that she was a biracial actor. Am I wrong?
I think
Or was it
there's
Paul
some,
Harris too?
Well, back when I was 16 watching this, no, I did not know that. So that was kind of a surprise.
There you go.
But obviously, now, the audience is probably a little bit smarter.
Well,
Maybe
also,
they're
I
maybe
mean,
not,
I don't know.
but-
That's one of the things
I
that
don't
I liked about the movie too, is that it brings up the whole idea of passing, which is something. It's an uncomfortable idea, and it was so common in American history for so long that but it's something that we don't want to countenance, and why would we? It's disgusting that people would feel compelled to have to live that way. So for me, it was another. I mean, like whether you knew her background or not, who gives a shit? I mean, it's certainly like the characters in the movie didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That passing. Yeah. That's a good point, Travis. By the way, this is Cinema 9 Pod. We're talking about Devil in a Blue Dress. In case you forgot, Cinema 9 Pod at protonmail.com. Let us know what you think about this film. Brian Madison chose this film, but I didn't get a clear answer. Is Jennifer Beals an actress that you really enjoy her work, or is this one of the lesser parts for you in this film? I just want to get your opinion on that.
So, in the service of the story, I think she does a fantastic job. Is she like a great actor? I mean, no. But as a I mean, yeah, she is kind of a walking MacGuffin throughout the film. As like a desirable object in the film, she serves her purpose pretty damn well, right? I mean, she's drop dead gorgeous. Like you can't take your eyes off her, and I think that's the point where it's like you're not paying attention to the other things; you're just looking at her, right? And so, in that way, I think she's perfect for this film.
And real quick, is someone making the argument that we shouldn't have had a mixed race person playing a mixed race person in 1995? I think that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was making that point. I don't think so.
Sure. I just wasn't sure what the point was, and if we're talking about Jennifer Beals.
I think Govi was just asking.
I'm talking about her
asking,
talent.
Is she good in the film? And I think she's good.
I'll take that. I will say, look at Jay Davidson, The Crying Game. We
Oh,
didn't really
Jesus,
know
The
this
Crying Game.
actor, and the point and the mystery and what people the tension was built on was the fact that this was a man. So if you could hire
What?
an actress
No.
that you weren't really sure, and then have the mystery be secure, I mean, a lot of critics said that like clearly we already know the surprise of the story is that this woman is half black. So
Yeah, but
you could have hired a newcomer or something like that.
I guess I want to think about that for a minute because I wasn't even thinking about her race or anything. I guess I was just looking at her as a character, and maybe I should have I guess it
don't
was just
think so.
assumed
I don't
because
think you should have.
I should. I mean, that's not how
I do.
I just assumed she was. I didn't think about what she was at all. I was just thinking about what her actions were. I guess that's what I was focusing on. I'm like, what is this woman up to? What is she doing? That was all that I kept thinking about when I watched this as a first time viewer.
Really a good actor. So as far as femme fatale is concerned, they could have probably did a little better in the acting department.
I mean, maybe she's not the greatest actor in the world, but as far as the character goes, I like that she kind of haunts the movie in a lot of ways. She's like this ethereal figure that comes in and comes out. I don't like the blue dress aspect, that she only wears blue dresses all the time. I feel like that's just so that it can conform to the song, which also she's not very devilish. So like, I think the title is just like, hey, devil in a blue dress. Why not? People know that shit. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. You might as well call it Blue Oyster Cult.
There she is. She's in a blue dress.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
She wears a blue house coat too. I think it's always blue. You're right.
Going back to the narration really quick. They do say at some point Ezekiel says, "Oh, she ended up spilling her whole heart out to me." That's one scene I really wish we could have seen, where she divulges.
Oh, in the car on the way back.
You'll usually see that in a film like this, but I'm worried that Jennifer Beals just performance sucked, and they were just like, fuck, we got to delete it.
I was kind of grateful that we didn't have to endure that. Like, I mean, just sum it up. That's fine.
But look, I want to talk about Jappy. I mean, what's up with this guy? I feel like there should have
Jappy. Yeah.
I feel like there's a scene missing there. Like, he just shows up and he's pissed when he comes back to the bar, and Denzel's in disbelief. He can't believe that maybe this guy betrayed him the first time, not the second time.
Oh, I love it when he's beating the shit out of his marble.
Yes.
I love that scene.
It's very intense. You're right. And Denzel's furious and doing his best Denzel when he's angry, but he's also hurt. Yeah, but I don't know the relationship.
No, because he knows that he only told two people about this woman.
Jappy was one.
Jappy was one, and the dead person's the other one. So it only could have been Jappy.
But he also got him involved in this in the beginning because he's at his bar, right, where this all starts.
And he says, and that comes up later on. Like, Jappy very intentionally dragged him in. I mean, he invited Tom Sizemore's character to like come meet him. Like he set him up basically. Jappy dragged him into this.
I imagine DeWitt said something to the effect of, "Do you know anybody that can be easily manipulated and get shit done and find somebody?"
And is broke.
And then and is broke. And Jappy's like, that guy right over there. Yep.
Yeah, it really is painful. I felt bad for that exchange. Really, I was confused as a first-time viewer. Again, this is all new to me, and not knowing what exactly was happening, who was manipulating who. This movie really had me confused and on the edge of my seat because I didn't
against the other.
Right, the Knutsons. Yeah, you're right. It is like the Big Lebowski in that sense. It's less funny, but yeah.
And that's one of the things I liked about it, and what made me think of the Big Lebowski, and what made me think this is like a classic film noir, and that the plot is convoluted. Like I was gonna sit down and like try and like chart it out. Like, this happens. Wait, then this. Wait, who? And then Maury Chaykin shows up, and he's like
Terry Kinney.
Sex
just watched Sleepers recently.
Sex Pest Chaykin. So it was kind of having a hard time following it too, but ultimately I kind of like that. Kind of like Ebert. It's like, does it really matter? I don't know. Like,
yes.
Well, I mean, all the best ones for the most part, like really Brick. I love Brick, right?
Yeah, I love Brick.
Love Brick. In fact, I almost. Brick was also on the list, by the way.
That would have been amazing.
But like, if any one of you can explain to me like the plot of Brick, I'll give you $100 right now.
I think they. But
that's the thing, though, right?
Lucas Haas wouldn't intimidate anybody. That's the plot.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Pile on a convoluted plot line, and you have your noir. But noir in the '90s is one thing. Throughout the entirety of the movie, I'm like, Christ. I'm thinking about the 90s. I'm like, what kind of noir do we have in the 90s after something like
The Two Jakes?
LA Confidential. I mean, after this,
Seven's kind of a noir.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but you get into this neo noir, which is Seven, which is Bad Lieutenant, which is State of Grace. It's like this new noir. So to go back and try to,
it's a classic.
Pay homage, it's almost like the genre has been, because maybe the Coens, the genre's been a little bit polluted, might be too big of a word for that, but by that. So until Curtis Hanson does LA Confidential and you got Memento, it was such a weird genre that I can't unforgive audience for maybe ignoring this film because it was just out of nowhere back then. It was just more familiarity was too much for me back then.
Yeah, it went under the radar pretty much
It
at the
did.
time. I don't even know if it had a theatrical release, and if it did, I think it was pretty limited.
I tell you,
Well,
it was
so Denzel did 3 movies that year too. I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but he did 3 movies that year. Crimson Tide was one, which is great, and then the other one was Virtuosity, which isn't. But
But it
those
was
two
good.
movies, played all
Midpoint
had a
187.
long play.
Come on now, Brian.
And this was it was, but it was sandwiched in between those 2 movies, and so
This
Crimson
comes
Tide
out.
got the headline.
Tom Sizemore had a bigger 95 with Heat.
This comes out the weekend of the O.J. Simpson verdict. So, like,
Oh,
audiences
shit,
don't want to
did
go to
it?
the fucking theater.
It did.
Yeah. It comes out
Holy
that
hell!
weekend.
I did not know
So
that.
don't go to the theater.
That's a good call. right
Summertime.
there.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. This is a movie that confuses me and will continue to confuse me with certain plot points, but that doesn't matter because there's so many fun characters, like Travis said, and they all play a role. And when Terry Kinney shows up in this movie and like he's being mysterious and everyone's offering money to him from many different points of views and you don't know what the money's for, I was like really surprised that it all came back to a kiddie. This guy's a kiddie porn sick fuck.
Yeah.
He's, that surprised me. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my God, this is
the
what
other
this is
mayoral
all about.
candidates, right?
How about
Yeah.
the fact that that Todd
Terrell.
no, the other guy,
Todd Carter.
Todd Carter. How about the
Yeah.
fact that Todd Carter doesn't make that? He doesn't even give that shit to the police. He just eventually uses it to blackmail Tyrell out of the race. And it's like, ugh, there's no justice served.
Right, and Easy thinks that he's going to use it to his benefit so that they can be together, him and Daphne. But like Easy's beautiful narration in that scene offers the point that even a man as rich as Todd Carter can't cross the color line. That is really that's narration at its best in this film.
Right.
How good is Denzel in this role? I mean, in my opinion,
Dude,
I'm watching this. I'm like, he's so fucking good that you don't even stop to think about like how his
So-
performance is holding up. He's just
I'm glad you brought that up.
the charm. It's just like it goes without question.
Because can we talk about his career up until 1995, right? So if you
Please.
think of Denzel Washington, the actor, up until 1995, he does Glory,
Yeah, Academy Award winner.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like he's on his way. 1995, that's when he becomes a movie star. Like he's a great actor before. Like everybody's like Denzel Washington.
Ricochet was before. I mean, but
I mean,
Well, so was Malcolm
but
X, 92.
But I mean, yeah, and Malcolm X too as well. But then 1995 is when he becomes like a movie star, right? So Crimson Tide, Virtuosity, all that type of stuff, hit or miss here and there, but like he goes for it. He really goes for it in 1995. So.
And
By the way, I love Ricochet, Travis.
it's
very
great.
underrated. John
I love
Lithgow, Kevin
Ricochet.
Pollak,
Ricochet.
awesome.
Awesome in it.
Yeah, I really love Denzel in this. I mean, like Mike, I think you made some really great points about the vulnerability and strength that he shows, or maybe that was Eric. One of you two did a great job talking about that. I thought his performance was really strong in this, and he's super charismatic, just obvious movie star through the whole movie. And I dig the pencil thin mustache, and like. I mean, like the dude's always been a sexy dude, but has he ever been sexier than in this fucking movie? I'm just like, damn, Denzel, like I'm kind of feeling you.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. He's pretty hot in Ricochet, and there's some nudity in that movie too, just for the record.
Yeah, behind the back shot, the trick shot.
I'm sitting here talking on mute, but in 1951, Marlon Brando sold more A shirts. I think the term white beater should go away, never come back. But than any other like thing in history. But fucking when 1995 came around, those things should have been off the racks because no one can fill a shirt like that more than Denzel. But the thing about this character is you got to think of. I go back to the introduction of him. Okay, everybody has seen Elliot Gould, Robert Mitchum, William Holden, all these characters that what they did the
Robert
film noir.
Tough guy, out of shape guy just makes me laugh. That's what I always think of.
Out of the Past is one of the
What's
best
wrong with
films of all time. Anyway, if you know your film history, you'll know that there's some great actors that have been in film noirs. But there's never been I'm not going to call this a black film noir because that would be stupid. But there hasn't been a character like this from this perspective, and this is a black perspective on Los Angeles in the late 1940s. In love it or leave it, he is a detective, and he has to. What do they say? The entirety of this movie, they say there's a line. Okay, for me, this movie, there's always this fucking color line. You can cross it, you can this or that with it, but like they don't preach to you. It's all in the circumstances. It's all in the character development, the dialogue, and everything. I think this is one of the best movies about like the socio-political environment of Los Angeles for black people that's ever been told. And it just so happens it's a detective movie. You talk about James Ellroy. You talk about Raymond Chandler. For me, this holds up for so many reasons in for these alone.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
that,
I guess we're getting into it. Yeah, we're about that time. I mean, does this movie hold up? Brian, you picked it, so I assume that you probably assume. I want you to go first because I assume you were going to say yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. So yeah, I guess I can go first real quick. I won't take up too much time because I know some of you guys might have some feelings about this. But
say whatever you want.
For me, it definitely holds up. Still holds up. Like I said, Alina had not seen it yet, and we watched it the other day. And she loved it. It's for all the reasons I already mentioned. I mean, it's a unique film noir in that it's from a perspective that, to my estimation, was never done before that. And by the way, this is the only Easy Rollins adaptation, right? There's 19 books, but this is the only one.
They've been trying forever, but leave it to Hollywood to not give Lawrence Fishburne, Jeffrey Wright tried it. No one.
Right. So So in that regard, this movie holds up absolutely, for sure. It's an important film for me personally, and I think it's an important film for the genre. So
beautiful. Well said, Brian. Eric, I think you already said it held up, right? Wasn't that what you said? Or
don't try to sum me up. I have a lot.
No, I mean you said this movie.
Take your time.
Go ahead, Eric.
I mean, you got this character that is a black man in 1948 trying to get his deserved chunk of the artificial Norman Rockwell American dream. He's a fucking veteran. He comes back and he's out of work because of clearly his fucking race. I mean, you have a very fucking interesting character. And like you guys said, he's not a private detective. He's tossed into these circumstances. You've got fucking Don Cheadle. Look, if you want to have him killed, why did you leave him with me? You got this fucking awesome character. No one's ever even seen how cool this is, man. Great atmosphere, great production design, great set design. The story for me, I'm sorry, it gets a little tepid. And I know all film noirs get so convoluted at a certain point, you just don't care. And at a certain point, I'm going to tell you, I just really didn't care that much. But it's the performances and the gorgeous set design that absolutely make this hold up. It has to be seen because of the perspective. This is pre-John Singleton's L.A., and it's nowhere to be found in James Ellroy's L.A. when it comes to pop oil film noir. Check it out.
Beautiful. This movie holds up to me. There's nothing really to add to all that. You guys are correct. All the points you made. Yes, it's unique and it deserves its time and praise. It's not terrible. It's well acted. It's set design, period piece, all the aspects of it that would make it a useful and relevant piece going forward in the decades ahead. I actually think this movie is timeless too, because there's a lot of things about it that's still irrelevant today. Not all of it, but there's still several aspects of this that you could make a film out of some of the pieces from this film today and be like, oh yeah, that's totally legit. That's what's going on right now. So there's been some progress, but this film was also a reminder of the tremendous lack of progress in other areas. So great movie. I'm glad that you chose this, Brian. Glad I got to watch it and comment on it with you guys. And I'm really, I was really surprised. I thought it was going to be something a lot different. I really didn't even know it was a noir because of the title. And I mean, I guess him in the tank top should have told me that maybe that was the case, but I just didn't even bother to look into what this movie was about at all. So I went in as about as fresh as you could be for a 25-year-old plus movie, which I guess was a saving grace for me, and I'm really grateful that I was able to have that opportunity. So, good job, film, Travis.
Yeah, I'm glad that you picked this movie. I don't know that I would have rewatched it anytime soon otherwise, even though I did enjoy it back in the day. So I'm glad to have rewatched it, and I'm happy to say that I absolutely agree that it holds up. I think that there's not a lot of movies that I would have liked a sequel to, or even still would like a sequel to. But there's so many books from this guy. Denzel could do a sequel now at this age, and it'd probably be awesome. Or I could see Michael B. Jordan in the role. He would fucking kill it. So I think that I'd like to see more of Easy Rollins.
Absolutely, Travis.
Yay!
So yeah, it holds up.
There it is. Everybody, it held
There you
up.
go.
Brian, do you feel good that your
Brian?
movie was completely held up by the entire cast?
Do you still like your own pick?
I absolutely am proud of the fact that it still holds up, but I'm even more happier to hang out and see you guys, man. So
Likewise. Good to have you on, man. We'll have you back. We'll have you back.
absolutely, man.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you did the pod well, Brian, and we want to congratulate you. And yes, it's great to see you with coronavirus and all that shit going on. We don't get to see
You're
each
a
other
hero.
enough.
You're an
so.
American hero.
You are. Yes, he is an American hero. And I think
Frontline
Eric's getting
worker.
emotional. I mean, this is very powerful stuff. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, and we will definitely have you back on. Thank you, Brian.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Eric,
Good
do
to
you
see
have
you.
something you need to say? You look real emotional right now.
Eric, you good, bud?
I am. I mean, I'm emotional because we didn't talk about Carl Franklin. Now, this is a guy he's a black filmmaker who's been grinding it out.
This is true. Yeah.
He's still with us. He's been
Yeah.
grinding out his whole life.
And still doing it.
He's doing like television now, but like
But good television.
Great.
Good-
Yeah, it's true.
good television.
Yeah.
But if you go out and watch his first film, One False Move from 1992, it's so
Yeah.
fucking good with Bill Bob Thornton and Bill Paxton. It's hard boiled too, and some say it's even darker than this and more pot boiled. But no one had the courage and the fucking guts, and especially a studio. But God bless TriStar, because you're gonna take a black perspective from this period and this everything. They throw all this millions of dollars at them just to give us this look that no one else has ever done from this perspective. I think that's why it holds up the most for me in my heart.
Yeah, I think Demi was a big force behind this too. We got to
Demi
give her
was.
credit for that. Good job, Demi. Okay. This is the Cinema 9 Pod. We thank you for listening. We're going to give you next week's selection here. Travis is going to have the floor momentarily. Brian, I bet you're really excited for this because Travis is going to reveal next week's selection. Are
No,
you
I
ready?
definitely want to know. Listen,
Right.
yeah,
It's gonna be
constant
very-
rotation. I'm telling
You
you.
watch the show, man?
He does.
Well,
of course.
I listened to this. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a man on the move. He listens. And don't forget, this is in podcast form on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all the Google Play crap, whatever exists. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Pod, and we would welcome it. And thank you for your time on a lovely review, if you would be so kind. Travis Roy, you now have the floor for next week's show.
I have the floor for next week's show. So
Let's do
for it's a new year. I thought I would make some changes a little bit. I would get us out of the fucking 90s. I love the 90s.
Oh
There's
my
so
God,
many
are
good
you
movies.
fucking
in the
kidding
90s.
me?
Going into the aughts.
I'm going to do more than take us out of the 90s. I'm going to take us to the most recent movie that we've done on this show yet. I'm, taking,
Oh
shit.
my
Oh,
God.
shit.
I'm taking us to 2012.
2012.
2012. We are going to watch, for the purposes of the show, Cloud Atlas.
Oh my
Whoa.
God! Oh
Wow.
my God!
Wow.
Wachowski sisters, Cloud Atlas, folks. That's what we're doing.
Wow.
I've stayed away.
True. Yeah. Okay. All right.
True.
Oh man.
You've never seen it, Eric?
It looks so boring, but I keep
So-
hearing great things.
What?
It's
So
extremely divisive.
divisive. Extremely divisive.
Oh
Yes.
my
Go ahead,
God.
Brian.
But I will say though that the Six Smith storyline is that's some heartbreaking shit, man. That's it's a real good sentiment in there.
Well,
But yeah,
like,
it is a divisive.
never
film.
seen
I can't wait to listen to it. Can't wait to listen to the
It's
episode.
our first Wachowski's effort. I'm surprised we haven't done Bound yet, but come on now.
No,
We've
but, yeah.
got Lana and I want to
Lily.
get this right. Lily Wachowski, two so important filmmakers. We've never touched on him until now. Them, right? Do I got my pronouns right? Don't cancel me.
I believe there are them.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's. Good job. You did a great job.
What, are we going to edit this? Anyway.
No, this is live. You
What?
can't
Mike,
edit this.
don't cut me down. I'm excited. I'm excited, Mike.
I think somebody had one too many and just one more.
Oh, did
Listen,
I made jokes about my giant
yeah.
beer, and here I am not peeing or slobbering all over myself.
but Eric, look, like the Matrix trilogy was like their biggest thing, and we weren't going to cover that, right? Because that's like, or maybe we would have.
Go, man.
Maybe we would have covered it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's pretty odd. We know everyone knows that the first Matrix is good, and the
Yes.
second and third are shit. So there's really no reason
exactly.
to bring it up.
That's-
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis. That exactly is my point.
Is a pretty
Thank you,
divisive
Travis.
movie. People tend to love it or hate it. So I thought it'd be fun. Especially, I figured, I'm kind of glad you hadn't seen it, Eric. So I'm curious to see what you think of it.
I'm jealous of Eric because
go
I
ahead.
wish I had never seen
Are
it
you?
because I only saw it for the first time 3 years ago, and I was like,
I
what? It was-
like Cloud Atlas. I have the book too as well. That's one of the few of his books that I read, and I like Cloud Atlas. And Alina fucking hates Cloud Atlas. Like
She
we
does.
watched it together. She was like, "Are you fucking serious, man?" And I'm like, "No, I love this movie. It is a very divisive film, and I cannot wait to hear this next episode for
It's
sure."
long too. Long.
It's long as fuck.
It's a
Strap
long
in.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna need like maybe we should take a day off for this one. Okay, great, Cloud Atlas. What a shocking call. This is good. I like this, Travis. I like that you took us out of the '90s. I'm actually grateful for that. Thank you.
Time.
All right, Cinema Nine Pod, we're out of here. Thanks for listening, Brian. Thank you for being here. This was fantastic.
Absolutely, guys.
We'll see you again later this year, and we do appreciate your patronage as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Brian.
Bye, guys.